Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. Hey, Sue, how are you? So good, I hope. I hope that everyone is having a fine Saturday morning. Hetty, what time is it in the Netherlands right now? I'm sure it's not Saturday morning. Hi, Nance. How are you? Hey, Carm. How are you? Hi, Keels. I was hoping you'd be here. So, let's see. What do we have to talk about? Well, be sure to go to my Instagram if you have the chance, because I'm honored to be able to take part in this amazing Instagram hop. It was my very first Instagram hop, but so I was very nervous that I wouldn't be able to do all the things I need to do. But I did, thank goodness. Anyway, it is a Instagram hop for card makers for mental health awareness. And I'm telling you, there is so much amazing inspiration out there. Every single card is just as lovely as the next. And I am just tickled beyond belief that I was lucky enough to be asked to take part in it all. Good morning, Jan. How are you? So glad to see everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Sherry. So nice to see everyone. My iPad thinks I said Siri, but I did not. So be sure to follow the Instagram hop. I'll be popping in and out of that throughout the day. And also there's a brand new art printable today, and it is named Shelli, after one of my dearest friends, Shelli O'Leary. She and I met on the bus. We had just moved into that house, and we moved like in the summertime, and when we started school, she was my first friend. She was my first friend on the bus. I was going into 3rd grade and she was going into 2nd, and I'm just going to tell you, we have been friends ever since. You know, our friendship has had highs and lows, and you know, the course that all friendships take. But I'm just going to tell you, ours had stood the test of time, and I find her just as delightful today as I did all those years ago when I was in 3rd grade. So her art printable is named Shelli, and this is the card that I created for the Instagram hop. I painted it, and then I ran it through an embossing folder. And I painted it with these two Catherine Pooler inks. I squished them down and made them into watercolors. So be sure to, remember that these are water-based, and so you can create with them just like watercolors. It just opens up this whole great big world of color, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm lucky enough to have the most amazing team, and so Carmen created these 2 cards with the same printable, and that's always the coolest, isn't it, to see everybody's interpretation of everything. So here you see we have like super bright colors, and this one, we were talking about it yesterday, we want to do it again, and I will foil it in gold for her. So pretty. Anyway, oh, and I have one more. This slimline where I used just the, what is it called? Grass skirt to paint this one. Super fun. So, what was I going to say? Oh, everybody make sure you have your drinks. because we kind of have a lot of work to do today. So I'm sure that you've probably noticed that I posted some pictures below this just this morning of a bunch of close-ups of flowers. And that's our inspiration for today's artist. So I'm sure you saw that we're going to be studying George O Keeffe. So here's my Name is George book. I've read it to you before. I'll read it to you again. It's so good, and you'll totally get the gist of George O Keeffe. George O Keeffe was born on a farm in Wisconsin in 1887. When I was 12 years old, I knew what I wanted, to be an artist. I've always known what I wanted. When I was small, I played alone for hours and hours and hours. I was satisfied to be all by myself. I did things other people don't. When my sisters wore sashes, I didn't. When my sisters wore stockings, I wore none. When my sisters wore braids, I let my black hair fly. I rode to town every Saturday to copy pictures from the stack in the art teacher's cupboard. At home, I looked out my window and drew pictures of what I saw. Maybe I could make something beautiful. At school in Chicago, I drew from statues in the museum. At school in New York, I painted one still life painting a day, every day. At school, I painted my teacher's ideas. But when school was over, I went out into the wide world to discover my own ideas. I went to the Texas plains, the wild west of my childhood books. You have never seen sky. It is wonderful. I walked into the sunset. I felt the wind across the plains. And I painted the sunset and the sky and the wonderful loneliness and emptiness of the place. I painted day and night. I worked till my head felt light at the top. I have things in my head that are not like what anyone has taught me, shapes and ideas. But I bundled up my paintings and went to New York City to be where other artists lived. I walked on the canyons of steel. I lived high up in the clouds, and I painted what I saw from my window. But sometimes, what I saw from my window was the far away calling me. I painted a garden in the city. I wanted everyone to see flowers the way I saw them. I looked closely at the flowers. I painted a camellia. I painted it big so people would notice. I painted a jack in the pulpit. I painted it big so people would see. I painted poppies and petunias and sunflowers and jimson weeds and irises and apple blossoms. My garden bloomed until everyone saw the flowers the way I saw them. But still I looked at the sky. The distance has always been calling me. I went to the New Mexico desert, so far away that no one ever comes. I was satisfied to be all by myself. It was too dry for the flowers to grow, but there were bones. I gathered the bones, big bones, little bones, short bones, long bones, cow's skull, horse's skull, a ram's skull, and brought the bones home to paint. One day I held one up against the sky and saw the blue through that hole. I painted what I saw. I saw the sky and the red hills. I walked in the hills at daybreak and twilight, at noon and in starlight. I painted the arms of the two red hills reaching out to the sky and holding it. I painted the Pedernal mountain in the far away. I painted it over and over and over again, and then again and again. God told me if I painted that mountain enough, he'd give it to me. I drove my Model A across the desert and back, and up and down and over the hills. I painted in my studio on wheels until the afternoon bees chased me home. Even in winter, I went out far into the far away and painted in the bitter cold. I painted when the wind was so strong it nearly blew me away. I did things other people don't. I climbed my ladder to the night sky to wait for the sun. I slept under the stars to see the morning sky when I woke. I stayed in the desert. My hair turned from black to gray to white as the bones. I still walked the red hills. My pile of bones grew. My flowers bloomed in the desert, and the pedernal was mine. And the sky, oh, it was still wonderful. I painted the sky one more time. I painted my sky big so people would see the sky the way I did. I worked from dawn to dusk every day for weeks and months. Then, as I painted the last cloud, the sun slipped past the pedernal. I laid my brushes down, kissed the sky for me. Georgia O'Keeffe lived to be 98 years old. In museums all across the land, people see her flowers, deserts, hills, cities, and skies the way she did. So, let's paint some flowers. I'm so excited. So, what I want to share with you is that a way that, so we've talked about Georgia O'Keeffe in the past, and here's the first flower that we did, and she was one of the first artists that we studied in this series. That wasn't a series, I don't think, when I started this on April 25th, 2020. It was just something fun to do, and I wanted to hang out with other artists, you know? So what I want you to think about, so I tried to take some pictures of lots of different flowers that I happen to have at my house because, you know, I love flowers. Anyway, I took pictures of a bunch of different flowers close up because remember, she paints big and she paints super close up. And so I want you to think about pretending you're a bumblebee. I know that seems weird to say, but seriously, I want you to pretend you're a bumblebee, and I want you to look at a flower in that way. Look at a flower that close. Like, what would it be like to look at the flower from that perspective? Do you know what I'm saying? So I think I'm going to do a Gerber daisy because they're kind of I will just tell you, they're the most fun flowers to grow. I have some right here on my desk. They're the most fun flowers to grow because, number one, they bloom a lot. And number two, they oftentimes will bloom in different colors. It's kind of crazy. So this is what I'm going to paint today. But I did take some pictures of some other flowers. My Mother's Day flowers came from Jeffrey, and there were some calla lilies in there. And so I thought that looked really Georgia-like. And I took some pictures of some roses and some, my grocery, my supermarket bouquet that he buys me every week were like a version of a spider mom, which that would be super fun to paint and draw. So just think about filling your entire page with flowers, with a flower, one flower, and then how you will apply color to that. Hey Kelly Sue, how are you? Oh my gosh. So I was just talking to Chris yesterday about teaching in person, but I said I wouldn't come back until probably like September. So just know that that's coming in the future. So I'm gonna really think about the detail of the Gerber daisy, and I want the petals to go off the page. So you can think about how you want the composition you want your flower to be, right? So I'm okay, I'm gonna pull this daisy out of the water so I can talk about a lot of wet. Okay, so do you see how there's this big circle, but within that big circle there's kind of a littler, right? There's the centers like that. But this, I don't know if you can see, but there's like these little hair-like things with some, I think that's probably all from the bumblebees in my yard. But anyway, then there's, so I want to figure out how I'm going to draw that, and then how I'm going to draw the center. But these petals, I love that there's like layers and layers and layers of petals, and that they each have this cool like lines in them, like kind of almost like it's almost like it's an embossed, do you see it? It goes up and down and up and down, and the ends of the petals are like jiggy jaggy, like it goes up like it should go to a point, but it doesn't, and then the end is like jiggy jaggy. So whatever flower you're going to paint, I want you to I want you to really study whatever you're going to draw. So take some time to do that. Study your flower and how you're going to draw it, and then fill your whole page. So is everybody ready to start? I'm going to take another drink. So I don't know that we're going to get this done today because it's kind of a lot of steps, and it's not worth rushing. Remember, we've talked about that before, haven't we? So I'm gonna just start drawing my petals. So I'm noticing that the petals are pretty kind of long and thin, and so I'm just gonna start drawing some randomly, and then kind of filling in as I go. We only have an hour, so just know that we're probably not going to finish it, but that's okay, right? We're going to start it, and then we're going to really think about, like I said, your composition. How do you want your you know, think about how Georgia wanted the world to see the flowers the way she saw them. So you want to show the world how you see your flower, whatever flower you choose, right? So what else can I tell you about Miss Georgia? The story, I just love that. I just love that story because it just really encompasses her, and you totally get the, like, who she was. Do you know what I'm saying? And how many of you could relate to her, that you saw things differently and that you did things differently. That's kind of that spoke to me because I've always felt like that. So I'm just going to continue with my petals. Let's see what else. I can tell you that she was known as the mother of American modernism, and she was well respected by her peers. Let's see. Here's a good quote. So it's the one, the quote that I have in this flower over here is, I decided that if I could paint that flower in a huge scale, you could not ignore its beauty. Come on, how fabulous is that? Don't you love that? I found that I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say in any other way. Things I had no words for. That's a good one too, isn't it? So much like Grandma Moses, she created art and Alma Thomas, she created art right up until the end of her life. Georgia started to create pottery after her eyes couldn't see as well to paint. But she still continued to create until right up until the end of her life. And she lived to 98 years. I mean, that's just unbelievable, isn't it? Hey, Keels, thanks for answering. Thanks for answering Michelle's question about the Instagram hop. Everybody be sure to check it out, because it's just, oh my gosh, the talent is second to none. It is absolutely second to none. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. And I want to figure out a way to incorporate this quote in my painting. When you take a flower in your hand and really look at it, it's your world for the moment. I want to give the world to someone else. Most people in the city rush around so. They have no time to look at a flower. I want them to see it, whether they want to or not. Isn't that the most fabulous quote? And so artisty, isn't it? So let's see. I'm going to start, really kind of trying to think about how I'm going to, I want to convey that there are layers and I love that there's layers. There's probably at least 3 layers of petals on this flower. I love that. So I'm going to, I really want that to kind of come across. All right. So I'm going to start. Oh, I'm so excited. I bought new pens at Scraps of Love the other day. I'm so excited. New pens. I know. So here's the thing, Keels. You know what? You kind of need to break it down into shapes. If you break pretty much anything you want to draw, if you break it down into shapes, it becomes easier. See it as shapes instead of the entirety of the flower. Sometimes that is a little bit overwhelming. So if you take whatever flower you're drawing, take the center, whatever the center is. If the center is a rose, then you're going to, let's see, if the center is a rose. Remember, a rose kind of wraps itself around itself, right? So you're just going to take the center. Right? Is this helping? Hi, Pearl. You must be new here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Each month we do a free class where we do an artist study, and we So we study an artist, and then we're inspired by that artist, and then we create in the vibe of that artist in our art journals. So today we are studying O Keeffe. Ocotillo. Oh, shut up, Sherry. That's going to be so cool. So if you just look for the shapes, I'm telling you, it will help. It will help quite a bit. And it takes away some of the intimidation factor. Do you know what I mean? So here's the center of the rose, but the center of like the oh, I should have brought my other iPad down here. But the center of the calla lily is kind of like the thing that you notice the most is that really kind of organic shape. Do you know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I see when I look at it. I see the I see that really kind of curvy organic shape, and that helps me. So that's why I start in pencil, so I can kind of get the feel of it down, and then I can work from there. So I'm going to start inking mine. I don't know exactly how I'm going to. So I'm just going to, so I'm using a, oh, not 0.005. I think I want to use something bigger. 0.03, so I have a little bit of a bolder line. So I'm going to do the technique, remember, oh, this has 3 price tags on it. That's a little bothersome. I'm going to do my technique where I hold my pen kind of high. Remember, because that will help me have nice loose lines, but I'm going to really take my time because we're not in a hurry. So I'm just going to get my basic shapes, right? Remember, we want to hold it high because if you look at those petals closely, you'll notice that they're not perfectly straight, right? If you look at the sides, there's little jiggy-jaggies in there. So by holding up pen up high, I'm going to totally get that feel. And even if they're right beside each other, that's okay. They're going to be just slightly, you want each one to have its own individual edge. Do you know what I mean? All right. So I hope everybody is, and remember that your pencil is just a guide. Doesn't have to be exactly how you did your pencil line, right? There we go. Jojo, can you imagine how what a trendsetter she was, and how brave she must have been in that day and age to forge her way. Number one, in the art world as a woman, we've studied lots of women who we know did not get their it was a tough road to hoe, that's for sure. But also that she was just so adventurous, and that she knew who she was, and I think that's just tremendous, you know? Especially on this day where we're focusing on mental health and how, you know, as women, we often struggle with that. We often struggle with feeling good enough and not comparing ourselves and all of those things. I don't know that she struggled with that as much. Maybe she did. I guess we all do to a degree, right? So I'm feeling like I don't know that I want to draw. I think I want to go back over my lines a second time to give myself that sketchy vibe. And then I'm going to concentrate on my petals because I still haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to handle the center of this flower. So I want to just, instead of forcing the issue, I want to just take some time and think about that. So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to go back around all of my lines, but you see I'm holding my pen up high to give myself that little bit of looseness. Because I feel like that, for me, it helps me to not feel the need to be so exact, you know? And if there's, so here's another tip. If there's something that you feel like you didn't convey in your first time around, you can use this second time around to do that. So, like, I often like to have that little dip right here. Do you see it? And right here at the base of my petal, because that's kind of how they come out of the center of the flower. Not all of them, certainly, but some of them you want to have some. You don't want it to all be the same because it's feeling kind of, well, this one is pretty good. You want it to be a variety because if you look at a flower, you'll see that the base of the petals is different. So I want you to, like, I know it seems crazy, but I want you to really pay attention to those little crazy details because we're super close, right? Look at the way the petals meet the center of the flower. Look at the way the ends of the petals look. Look at the way the colors change within your flower. So really pay close attention. So if we get this line, if we start to kind of enhance that line, right? Then with color, we'll be able to really take it to the next level, you know? Because remember, we can add so much depth with color. And Georgia certainly did that. I think I'm going to stick with the hot pink of my daisy. But you know, it is up to the artist's discretion. If you want to do your flower green and purple, you can do your flower however you want. That's what I say. So I'm going to take some time and start to erase my pencil lines. Hi, Marcy. Hey, Linda. How are you? So nice to see you. Hi, Pineapple Sazhar. Did I pronounce that correctly? If you are brand new here, I would so love and appreciate if you followed and liked me and Corbiere-Scott Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Every Monday, we have a new video going up on our YouTube channel. They are by our very talented team member by the name of Michelle, and she teaches Copic classes all over, like all over. That's kind of how I came to know her, is that my friend Jan took some Copic classes from her called Copic College. And she is just so talented. And can I tell you, watching her create this palette of color with her Copics on my art printables, besides the fact that just watching her is mesmerizing, I could just spend copious amounts of time. Copious. Lots and lots of time watching her apply color and create depth and texture, and it's just the craziest thing, but like crazy cool, you know? So anyway, I am so grateful for her. I'm grateful to every single girl who designs for me. I have the best team in all the land. I say it and say it and say it. All right, let's see. So I'm just kind of looking to see if I have, you know, when you start to erase, you think you're done, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I was there. How did I not see that? Anyway, so follow me on all of those platforms, because you'll see, hopefully, something that inspires you somewhere along the line. Take a drink. Let's see. I think I want to just lightly erase this line, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. But I kind of want to remember that it's there. You know what I mean? Swish all my my eraser bits away. I feel like it kind of needs to be like little squiggly lines, so I'm going to use a tinier pen, my 005, and I feel like I just need to do some random squiggly lines. Do you see what I'm saying? That kind of seem to and so I'm doing a little bit of our contour drawing. Remember where we didn't pick up our pen? So I'm doing some of that. I'm not totally committed to that, but a little bit of that. Kind of just that, because that kind of loosens up your inhibitions about making the perfect circle or whatever. I want mine to be quite organic. And it seems to me, as I'm looking at this flower, that the circle, the ends get smaller, sort of, as they get closer. And then the center is just, the bits are almost unavailable to the naked eye. Like, you can't really see the ends. It just looks a little bit fuzzy on the very top. And so I want to... 20 minutes? Yikes, 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 keels! How did that happen so fast? So like I said, I'm going to really try to hold my pen up high and then do some some contour drawing where I don't lift my pen, so I can get lots of good organic shapes for the center of this flower. And I'm kind of going randomly around the center of my flower because I don't want it to look uniform in any way. And so, you know how sometimes when you do something repeatedly, it starts to look the same. So I want it to look really organic and not the same at all, you know? So let's come down here. And I'll say this contour drawing is really creating exactly what I kind of was looking for. I mean, you do you. I'm not saying you have to do this. It's just, you know, something that we were playing with a couple weeks ago, and so I want to continue to hone those skills. So for me, if I learn something new, I want to kind of incorporate it into my art for a little while so that I kind of get better and better at it, and then that's just one more tool in my artsy arsenal, in my noggin. Do you know what I mean? So this, the blind contouring and the contour drawing was in our Inspire Your Heart with Art journaling class. And that's a 3-month long class where we do all kinds of artsy techniques. We try our hand at all kinds of things. We experiment. We play in our art journals. It's 3 months of art journaling classes. See, I can see how I'm already starting to, it's starting to look the same over there. 3 months of art journaling classes for $15. So that's $5 a month. And each month we play with a new technique or a new process. It's super fun, I think. And we just fill up those art journals with all kinds of artsy journeys, you know? So, what is everybody else drawing? Are you drawing a daisy? Are you drawing a rose? Are you using the samples that I put up there for inspiration? Do you have something of your own? Well, we know Sherry is doing her own thing. Hey, Kath. So we're just continuing to do that contour drawing where we just don't lift our pen. Well, I'm certainly doing a modified version of that. Remember to hold your pen up high if you're doing this. Hold your pen up high because then you've got a nice loose, organic flow to your pen. Poppies are so pretty. You know, I just think, Laura, I think because they have those big floppy, they have those big floppy petals, that they are super fun to play with. They're super fun to draw. They're super fun to paint. to come over here and do some filling in of shapes. This is really quite meditative, I will say. No, it's not fast. You're right, Lori. It is not. But it'll be so fun. It'll be so satisfying, you know? And I just don't think that art should be rushed. It's just going to take you however long it takes you, right? And art journals, right, they're where we experiment and play with, yeah, it is almost hypnotic. Art journals are where we play with techniques and just creating, like just free creating. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. I think people get too hung up on that, because when you are creating and you kind of lose yourself in creating, that is where you learn so much. You're going to learn so much. Like, oh, I could shade that by doing this, or I could fill that shape with doing whatever. So I am just going to continue to do that. I'm going to try as hard as I can to not pick up my pen very much and just really embrace that contour. God bless you, Sophie. Absolutely, and it's art, and it's an artistic interpretation, right? You're not making a photograph at all. You have a camera on your phone for that, right? So I feel like okay, I feel like that's pretty good. And now I want to leave the center, because seriously, I felt like the Twilight Zone. I was just like, rrr. So I want to play with my petals a little bit. So the petals seem to have, so I'm going to use my skinny pen, because the petals seem to have, each one seems to have a series of lines with a little bit of space in between. So I'm going to really play with keeping them at the same distance, right? But you see how this has like a dark side and a light side and a dark side and a light side? Like, I'm going to really work on playing that up on the with my line drawing, and then with my color as I add color after all of this part. Everybody take a drink. So really remember to just keep looking at your reference picture. This one went right to the end. That's kind of cool. And really pay attention to that some of them, like, they kind of really intently look at your flower, because for me, some of my lines go from the base of the flower all the way to the tip of the petal. The up and down lines. I don't know if you can see that. So really, really look at that. Really look at conveying that in some kind of a way. So once we so if you do the double line drawing technique, right? If you come back, well, these I think I already did, yeah. So, but then you can come in with your stippling, and that's going to help create some shadow on one side. And then you can do some stippling right down here. And so this is my 005, but if you came in with a 03, look at the difference. Those dots are going to be so much darker, right? But we want to create some depth right there at the base, because we know this and this meet, and wherever things meet, remember, it'll be dark right there in the crack of where it meets, right? It's going to be dark where the petals meet the petals, and remember, it's going to be dark where the light hits the kind of embossed bits of the lines that go down the petal, and then it's going to be dark where one petal is underneath another petal. So that's a lot of things to kind of consider, but so that's why you just really need to take your time. Really take your time and think about, you know, just colors and, like I said, shapes. Really look at the shapes of your petals. And that this isn't a race, right? We can just take our sweet time. So I'm just going to work on this for a little while, then I'll go to my lines and my petals for a little while. It's kind of going to be a while before I get to the paint part, but that's okay. Like, I've totally embraced this whole process, because there's a certain amount of peace that kind of comes with it, isn't there? As you're creating, I find it peaceful. Especially if it's something where I'm really getting into the details of it. That really, I can just lose myself in the process. And I hope that that you do that too, because that is where the sweetness happens. Josie Lewis did a TED Talk, and she talks about finding that zone, like finding that moment where you just lose yourself in the process of whatever it is. Maybe you're a gardener, maybe you're a cook, maybe you're I don't know, a hairdresser. Whatever your thing is, where you can just totally get in the zone, that's the sweet stuff. That's the sweet stuff of life. Look at the difference with just that little bit of stippling Look at the dimension that has created compared to this side. It just takes some time. Little by little by little by little. You know? So anyway, am I over? Oh no, I still have 5 minutes. Yay. Okay, everybody take a drink. And I'm going to continue to stipple. But maybe I'm going to turn my art journal upside down so that I can come at it from this way. Remember that whatever substrate you're working on, it is not nailed to the table. You can pick it up and move it. And when you pick it up and move it so that it's more comfortable for your hand to create, oh my gosh, talk about a game changer. I hope everybody takes some time to just kind of lose yourself in your O Keeffe-ness today. And think about her. Think about, number one, remember I said think about drawing from the perspective of a bumblebee. How close you would be if you were a bumblebee. And you would see things so differently than we see far away, right? And also that you want people to see what you see, right? And to do that, it's going to take some time. It is not a rushed process, that's for sure. And when you, oh, I was going to tell you. So when you do the, where's the 0, 0? Here we go. When you do this technique where you do the lines, right? And you kind of do the double line, right? And it's nice and loose, right? Think about how you can find those little pockets where you can add some more stippling, where the lines like intersect, all of the dark spots. Play with that. Yes, this is not life drawing, Keely. It's just an artist study. We're just being inspired by O Keeffe, right? It doesn't have to be, which one is that? Nope. It's not going to look exactly like her work. It's going to be your inspired version, you know? I'm really feeling like I want to do that pink. I want to do this because it's so vibrant. Look at it. It's so vibrant and pink. I really want to do that. And then this kind of yellow and pink mix right here. And then that yellowy greenish, like almost like a spring green in the very center. Oh, so pretty. I should put them back in water. How about everybody else? Georgia liked to work in whites an awful lot. And that was just, she did lots of white flowers. In art school, my friend Roxanne we all had to do a painting that was inspired by an artist that we were really intrigued by. And mine was Degas. And so I painted a picture of my dad in his chair in our house on Portsmouth, where I met Shelli O'Leary. I did Degas. Anyway, and Keely, you've seen that painting hanging at my parents' house. And she did George O Keeffe, and she did a pair of pumps. Oh my gosh, they were so beautiful. They were white pumps, but they were hers, and she had just, it was a still life, and she had just kind of thrown them on the table and then drew from that. And oh my gosh, I can still see it in my mind's eye. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. She was really really enamored with George O Keeffe. And I wonder now sometimes, like, does she still think about George O Keeffe? Does she still pull her paints out sometimes? I know she's not doing it as much as she did back then, but I hope that she still takes time to, you know, get lost in George's world. That was a super fun assignment because we all kind of did our own like nobody's was the same. Everybody's was a little bit different. Everybody's was a little bit, well, number one, we were influenced by other artists, but it was just, oh my gosh, that was a blast. A blast, blast, blast. So how is everyone doing and feeling? Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling like you'll continue to work on this? And I wanted to do mine right. Keely, remember we had talked about doing it beside the first one we had done? So make sure that you put the artist's name on your entry and also the date, because it's just fascinating. It is just fascinating to play with, to number one, see where you were and play with techniques and how inspiration hits you. Do you know what I mean? This was, I was really into mandalas right there. Can you tell? And I was just starting to have this love affair with pinks and oranges. And it is still continuing. I will just tell you right now that my love affair with pinks and oranges has continued. But like, I look back on this really sweetly because I think about where we were in the country in our little community of Anne Corbiere-Scott design. Like, let's get artsy with Anne Corbiere-Scott designs. Where we were just beginning our little artsy journey, and look how far we've come. We studied 32 artists from April to the end of December. That's crazy, right? But now we get to come back and revisit some of those artists, and oh my gosh, we just have a greater appreciation for them. And one thing I've mentioned before is, now that you will, I'm sure that you will all Google George O Keeffe if you haven't already, and you will see her works, and I'm telling you, you will see it everywhere now. You will see it everywhere. It's the craziest thing. It's like when someone gets a new kind of car. You start to, you know, you see that car everywhere. And anyway, be that as it may, be sure to check out the Instagram hop, because you will be so inspired. And remember, when you're all looking at all of that art with an artist's eye, you're gonna you know, so maybe that card isn't your style, but you're going to see some really cool techniques that you might want to use on your own cards. Or you might see a color combination that you're like, navy blue as a neutral, I love that. Or shaker cards. I haven't done shaker cards in a really long time, or whatever the case may be. Look at them, really study them with your artist's eye now. You're going to see, number one, you're going to have a greater appreciation for all of that work. And you're going to, so make sure that you like and comment, because that's what kind of fuels a creative, right? You love when people like and comment on your stuff. So make sure you do that for them too, because we're all doing it for free. We're all doing it, you know, just to get the word out about mental health awareness. But also tomorrow, I'm going to give this class a little heads up about what tomorrow's Artsy surprise is. Tomorrow's Artsy surprise is a extra pop-in paint party. So meet me here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we will paint on the Shelli art printable, the brand new art printable Shelli. So be sure to print it off and then join me with all the colors, and we will just have ourselves a time. I have an experiment that Carmen and I were talking about that I want to kind of play with tomorrow and see where that takes us, what we learn from that artsy experiment. So me too, Laura. I will just tell you, me too. I just love revisiting them and paying homage to them, and then learning from them, like what we can glean from them and make part of us. You know what I mean? I think that's this good stuff for as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's all kinds of other ick in the world. When you meet with me, we're just going to do nice stuff, because everybody needs nice stuff in their life. Remember, we had that whole conversation about what you consume in your body, what you consume, what you're watching, what you're reading, all of that stuff. Take some time and just, well, we're supposed to only spend an hour together, but whatever. Take some time to just fill yourself with nice. I mean, how can this not be nice? I hope that everyone is relaxed enough to just enjoy it for the pure joy of it. They are, Donna, they're all saved. They're all saved. So little by little, I'm trying to work on labeling them all. Like the ones that are I don't even, so, you know, pop-in paint parties are Tuesdays and Thursdays and on Mother's Day, but pop-in paint parties are always Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they are creating art with my art printables. But the Saturday, and Donna, be sure to look back, because in 2020, I did them every single Saturday. Every single Saturday, we played with a new artist's style, and it was just the best. So there's all kinds of inspiration there for you. And now we're going to be revisiting them once a month. We'll revisit a different artist once a month, and we just have ourselves a time. But we always have ourselves a time, don't we? Well, I guess since we are about 10 minutes over, honest to Pete, I will bid you all adieu. I will thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I can just hardly wait to paint with you again tomorrow. We're going to have ourselves a time. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.